In 2012, something happened that shocked the United States Navy. During a joint exercise called Fellowship, the Royal Navy's newest attack submarine, HMS Astute, faced off against America's most advanced hunter-killer, the USS New Mexico, a brand new Virginia-class boat. The British submarine's commander, Ian Breckenridge, would later describe what happened. "Our sonar is fantastic. I have never before experienced holding a submarine at the range we were holding USS New Mexico. The Americans were utterly taken aback, blown away with what they were seeing. The Astute-class submarines were supposed to be the crown jewels of Britain's Royal Navy, nuclear-powered, silent as a baby dolphin, armed with Tomahawk missiles capable of striking targets 1,000 miles away, covered in 39,000 acoustic tiles that make them virtually invisible to enemy sonar, and for 2 years, not a single one was at sea. How did the world's most advanced submarine fleet end up stuck in port? The answer involves a 70-year industrial collapse, a catastrophic maintenance crisis, workers gluing broken bolts back together, and a ticking clock that threatens Britain's ability to defend itself. Before we can understand what went wrong, you need to understand what the Astute-class was supposed to be. The story begins in 1982, with a different submarine entirely. On May 2nd, the nuclear-powered HMS Conqueror was stalking the Argentine cruiser General Belgrano through the frigid waters of the South Atlantic. The Falklands War was 8 days old, and British commanders feared a pincer attack on their task force. At 2:57 p.m., Conqueror's captain gave the order. 3 torpedoes launched. 2 struck their target. 20 minutes later, the Belgrano was sinking. 323 Argentine sailors died, and the entire Argentine Navy, every ship, every submarine, withdrew to port and never threatened the British fleet again. 1 submarine, 1 kill, an entire navy neutralized. It remains the only time in history a nuclear-powered submarine has sunk an enemy vessel in combat. For the Royal Navy, it was proof of concept. Submarines weren't just weapons. They were strategic deterrents. A single boat, operating silently beneath the waves, could change the course of a war. But by the late 1990s, Britain's submarine fleet was aging. The Trafalgar-class boats that had served through the final years of the Cold War were reaching the end of their operational lives. The Swiftsure-class was even older. In 1997, the Ministry of Defense signed a contract worth £2.4 billion for 3 revolutionary new submarines. They would be the quietest ever built, the most sophisticated sonar systems ever deployed, nuclear reactors that would never need refueling during the submarine's entire 25-year lifespan. They called them the Astute-class, and from the very beginning, everything went wrong. Here's something the Ministry of Defense didn't fully appreciate when they signed that contract. Britain had forgotten how to build submarines. The last nuclear submarine to be constructed in the UK, HMS Vengeance, was launched in 1998. By the time serious work began on the Astute-class, there had been a 10-year gap in construction. In that decade, the specialized submarine designers dispersed. They retired. They found jobs in other industries. The institutional knowledge, the hard-won expertise accumulated over decades, simply evaporated. When BAE Systems started working on the Astute design, they discovered their computer-aided design software wasn't up to the task. The system called CADDS-5 had been used to design the amphibious ship HMS Ocean. But submarines are exponentially more complex. Pipes, cables, weapons systems, and nuclear components all crammed into a pressure hull where every inch matters. By 2002, an audit revealed the program was already 3 years behind schedule and £700 million over budget. Work was temporarily suspended. The Ministry of Defense had to do something almost unprecedented. They called in the Americans. 13 submarine designers from General Dynamics Electric Boat, the company that builds America's nuclear submarines, were brought to Barrow-in-Furness to rescue the project. Over 100 more designers worked remotely from the United States. Britain eventually paid $145 million to an American company just to help them figure out how to build their own submarines. By November 2009, a House of Commons Defense Select Committee delivered a brutal assessment. The Astute program was 57 months late and 53% over budget. The cost for just the first 3 boats had ballooned to £3.9 billion. But here's the thing. Despite all these problems, when HMS Astute finally put to sea, she was extraordinary. Her Sonar 2076 system was described as a step change over anything that came before. 13,000 hydrophones spread across bow, flank, fin, and towed arrays. The Americans, remember, were blown away by what they saw during those joint exercises. So the submarines themselves weren't the problem. The problem was everything around them. To understand why Britain's best submarines are stuck in port, you need to visit a place called Devonport. Located in Plymouth, Devonport Royal Dockyard has been maintaining British warships since 1691. It covers 650 acres, 25 tidal berths, 14 dry docks, 7,000 workers. And since 2002, it has been the sole facility in the United Kingdom capable of refitting nuclear submarines. Let me repeat that. One facility for the entire country. Now here's the math problem that nobody solved. Britain operates 4 Vanguard-class submarines carrying nuclear missiles, the boomers, that maintain the nation's nuclear deterrent. At least one must always be at sea. They require periodic deep maintenance that can only happen at Devonport. Britain also operates 5 Astute-class attack submarines, soon to be 7. They also require periodic maintenance, also at Devonport. There are also 23 decommissioned nuclear submarines sitting in various locations around Britain, waiting to be dismantled. Many still have their nuclear fuel on board. That work? Also Devonport. And here's the critical bottleneck: the dry docks. Number 9. Dock is permanently occupied with Vanguard refits. Number 14. Dock is being prepared for submarine dismantling. Number 15. Dock was configured for the older Trafalgar-class boats and needed extensive conversion for the larger Astute submarines. When HMS Audacious returned from a 403-day deployment in 2023, she needed routine maintenance. But there was no dry dock available. She sat alongside the pier for over 500 days, stuck in port. Not because anything was wrong with her, but because there was physically nowhere to do the work. The situation got worse. HMS Vanguard, the oldest of Britain's nuclear missile submarines, entered Devonport in December 2015 for what was supposed to be a 4-year refit, costing £200 million. She didn't leave until May 2023. 7.5 years. Longer than it took to build her originally. The final cost exceeded £500 million. What happened during those 7 years reveals the depth of the crisis. Workers discovered that 7 bolts securing insulation cladding on reactor cooling pipes had been sheared off. Someone had glued the bolt heads back on to hide the damage. The submarine was described as peppered with defects. According to one senior official, Vanguard is a textbook example of how not to set up a major project. We did not invest in the workforce and did not invest in the infrastructure. While Vanguard sat in pieces at Devonport, the remaining 3 nuclear missile submarines had to cover all patrol duties. Patrol lengths stretched from the traditional 3 months to 5 months, then 6, then 7. In 2023, HMS Victorious completed a 207-day patrol, the longest in Royal Navy history. And the Astute boats? In August 2024, analysis revealed that not a single Astute-class submarine had completed an operational voyage that entire year. Ambush had been stuck at Faslane for 2 years. HMS Audacious had been waiting for a dry dock for 506 days. Britain's hunter-killer fleet, the boats meant to track Russian submarines and protect the nation's aircraft carriers, had effectively ceased to exist as an operational force. The infrastructure crisis is only part of the story. The first Astute-class submarine, HMS Astute herself, has had what can only be described as a cursed existence. October 22, 2010, just weeks after her commissioning ceremony, HMS Astute is conducting sea trials off the Isle of Skye in Scotland. A crew transfer is being arranged. The officer of the watch fails to properly plot the submarine's position. The radar has been deactivated. At 7:53 p.m., the 1.3 billion pound submarine runs aground on a silt bank. She sat there for 10 hours until tugs finally pulled her free. The commanding officer was relieved of his command. The incident report described a catalog of errors and non-adherence to correct procedures. 6 months later, April 8, 2011, HMS Astute is docked at Southampton, hosting a VIP tour that includes the leader of Southampton City Council. During a guard changeover, able seaman Ryan Donovan, who had consumed 20 pints of cider and lager plus cocktails and vodka in the previous 48 hours, opened fire with an SA-80 assault rifle in the submarine's control room. Lieutenant Commander Ian Molyneux was killed. Another officer was wounded. The shooter was only stopped when Southampton's council leader Royston Smith, a former RAF flight engineer, tackled him against a wall. An investigation revealed that heavy drinking before duties was common practice among the crew. December 2010. A pipe cap made from the wrong metal, despite quality assurance records indicating the correct material was installed, failed during a dive, flooding a compartment and forcing an emergency surface. Reports emerged that the submarine was too slow to reach its intended top speed, that the periscope camera blurred in rough seas, that the backup battery was inadequate. A confidential Ministry of Defense memo, later leaked to The Guardian, warned of extensive corrosion caused by cost-cutting measures. Severe problems can be expected in the future, it stated. Quality controls have been ignored. The first 3 Astute-class boats would all experience similar issues, and as of 2025, the total cost of the 7 submarine program has exceeded £12 billion, with the final 2 boats alone costing over £2 billion each. Submarines don't run on nuclear reactors alone, they run on people. And Britain doesn't have enough of them. In 2008, the Royal Navy reported a 28% shortfall in senior nuclear engineering officers, a 23% shortfall in sonar and sensor operators, a 20% shortfall in nuclear weapons system personnel. By 2018, the National Audit Office highlighted a shortage of 337 skilled nuclear staff. The problem has only gotten worse. Modern submarine service is brutal. 3-month underwater patrols with no sunlight, no smartphone access, no social media, no contact with family. When the Vanguard crisis forced patrols to stretch to 6 and 7 months, the strain on crews became immense. A survey commissioned by the Royal Navy found that younger recruits specifically cited the inability to access social media and smartphones as reasons for not pursuing submarine service. Meanwhile, the private sector offers better pay, better conditions, and similar technical challenges. Nuclear engineers can earn more working at civilian power plants than they can maintaining the UK's nuclear deterrent. Without submarines at sea, crews can't get the training and experience they need. A Rand Corporation analysis warned that crews unable to train at sea do not develop the mental muscle memory born of a library of experience. The institutional knowledge that makes a commanding officer effective, what one analyst called that prickle of hair rising at the back of the neck, can only come from time operating the submarine. Britain is training submariners who are spending more time alongside the pier than underwater. In September 2021, Britain made a commitment that might prove impossible to keep. Under the AUKUS agreement, the United Kingdom promised to help Australia build nuclear-powered submarines. The new SSN-AUKUS design would be based on the Astute-class. Rolls-Royce in Derby would manufacture the nuclear reactors. BAE Systems at Barrow would help with construction. Australia has already invested £2.4 billion to expand British facilities. Starting in 2027, an Astute-class submarine is supposed to rotate through Australian waters from the base at HMAS Stirling. But here's the question that defense analysts are asking. With Britain struggling to maintain its own 7 submarines, with none at sea for extended periods. With dry docks that don't exist and personnel who can't be recruited, how is the Royal Navy supposed to contribute a submarine to the Indo-Pacific rotation? The AUKUS commitment requires Britain to strengthen its submarine industrial base precisely when that base is in crisis. It demands that the Royal Navy operate in the Pacific while Russia's northern fleet grows stronger in the Atlantic. With increasingly capable Yasin-class boats threatening NATO's northern flank, some see AUKUS as the solution. Australian investment will modernize British facilities, create jobs, expand capacity. The Strategic Defence Review, published in June 2025, committed Britain to building up to 12 SSN AUKUS submarines, far more than the 7 Astute boats. Others see it as a dangerous overreach. If Britain can't keep 5 submarines operational, how will it keep 12? In 1982, one British submarine neutralized an entire enemy navy. Today, the Royal Navy sometimes has 0 attack submarines at sea. The Astute gap isn't really about submarines at all. It's about what happens when you build extraordinary weapon systems, but neglect the unglamorous infrastructure required to sustain them. When you cut costs on dry docks. When you allow a 10-year gap in construction to destroy your industrial base. When you assume that sophisticated technology can operate without sophisticated support. The submarines themselves remain remarkable. The Sonar 2076 is still among the best in the world. The nuclear reactors still don't require refueling. The acoustic tiles still make them among the quietest boats ever built. But a submarine stuck in port is just an expensive piece of metal. Britain is now investing £2.5 billion to upgrade Devonport. Number 10. Dock should be ready by 2028. Number 15. Dock is being converted for Astute maintenance. 2 floating dry docks are being procured for Faslane. Whether it will be enough, whether it will be in time, nobody knows. What we do know is that the undersea domain is becoming more contested, not less. Russia's submarine activity in the North Atlantic is at Cold War levels. China is building submarines faster than anyone predicted. The cables that carry the world's internet traffic lie vulnerable on the ocean floor. And Britain, the nation that once ruled the waves, that built the Dreadnought and the Conqueror and the Astute, is learning the hardest possible lesson about naval power. You can build the best submarines in the world, but if you can't keep them at sea, you haven't built anything at all.